The following program was provided by an independent producer solely responsible for its content. The opinions expressed do not necessarily represent the views of this station, its staff, board of directors, or underwriters.
Welcome to The Ring and All Other Sports. My name is Leo Connors, and I'm your host. And tonight, I got two special guests. Former professional wrestlers, Kick-Ass Kyle Storm and Studley Steve Stallion. Guys, how you doing?
Doing great, guys. How are you?
I'm doing great, too.
Great.
Sitting at home relaxing.
There you go.
Yeah.
All right. I'm going to jump right into it. Kyle, you said you'll answer first, and then Steve will answer. Where did you grow up?
I grew up in Gloucester, Rhode Island. No
Cranston,
school
Rhode Island.
in Gloucester.
You the same, Steve?
No, Cranston, Rhode Island.
Cranston, right. Okay, thank
Yep.
you. When did you guys first see pro wrestling?
Oh, Jesus. I'm going to say like 83, 84 world class
Nice.
was my first induction. I remember the first time I ever saw it was because my grandmother was watching it. And I sat down next to her and then I was hooked.
Nice.
So, yeah, my first exposure to pro wrestling was, the Rocky III, seeing Hulk Hogan, and then seeing that one part of that movie intrigued me so much that I wanted more of it. Like I'm sure a ton of other fans did. And, doing into the WWF, and from there was just history. Hogan was the biggest draw for me, though, at the beginning. But then I discovered Roddy Piper, and that,
Yeah. Great times. All right, who are some of your favorites to start?
Oh, shit. The Von Erichs drew me right in. Iceman King Parsons, Bruce Brody. Like I didn't start watching WWF until Steve. When was WrestleMania 3?
3 was
88? 80, was it 80?
87,
84, 85. Yeah, I think
bro.
It was like 87. I think it was 86, 87.
87.
Yes.
So that was my first look at WWF. That was the very first show I ever watched.
No kidding.
I picked a great show to watch. If you were going to try and hook me between Piper's match, between Ricky and Randy's match, between the Bulldogs and the Hart Foundation for the such a good show.
Yeah. And Steve?
So my favorites were Piper, Beefcake.
Wow.
Yeah, a lot of the heels. I loved heels, man. As soon as I got exposures to heels, I mean that was me, man.
Right.
I went nuts, and that was the biggest thing for me was the bad guys. So.
I said wow because not many people say Beefcake. You know what I mean? I enjoyed him.
Or admit it.
Yeah.
He's the only one that's ever said like Beefcake was one of their favorites. So I just think that's kind of cool.
No, Beefcake was one of my. In fact, when I started wrestling, I had the gloves just like Beefcake. Kai, remember that? I had to go.
I remember.
I had the same gloves.
All right. When did you guys know you wanted to be a professional wrestler?
Mine's actually funny. Like I never even thought of even ever doing it. I was a fan. I liked watching it. I did amateur wrestling and things like that. But my first tag partner, Matt, Kid Liberty, or Matt Storm, his father knew a guy that owned a wrestling ring in his backyard. So one Saturday he called me up and he's like, "Hey, you want to go jump around in a ring?" And I was like, "I got nothing to do." And that was my first practice at NEWA behind Dave Jackson's house.
Wow.
So,
that's great.
My turn.
It was June of 1992, right before that. Do you remember that outdoor show?
I was there for that one. I'm sure
you were there. Yeah, you wrestled Thunderbolt.
Well, that was on the water.
Yeah, we were on the walk. We had like the three-quarter mile walk to the ring.
I remember. Yep, I do. I remember. Me, I started when I knew I wanted to be a wrestler when I was 11 years old. So we didn't have a ring. So Dave Padula, me, we used to set up like sticks in my backyard with string. You know, Dave Padula was blading at 11 years old with rock in my backyard.
Wow.
That tells you a lot. And he'll tell you that too. So
I'm surprised you wasn't spitting fire at 12.
that came later.
No, he was just playing with thumbtacks back then.
Yeah, you know, yeah, dude. Dave is the sicko, man. Dave and I knew we wanted to be wrestlers when, like I said, when I was 11 years old. And when I started in the NEWA, Dave came, you know, shortly after that.
Ransom West. It was the show that Rock decided to buy.
Oh yeah, that was the one where I wrestled Shredder.
Dude, you remember?
And I did the job to Shredder.
Yeah, not to go off on a tangent, but do you remember the weekend after that show when Rock had the meeting at Challenges?
Oh my God, yes, I do.
Okay,
I do.
Matt was 18, I was 19, and we're in there with all you guys who are of age. I don't even know how big that tab was. I don't even want to know how big that tab was.
I know. I remember that. Like it was yesterday too. Yeah, I remember that, and I remember Rock telling everybody he was going to buy it from Dave, and I remember all that. Yeah, and then we went from there. So, and then we were on every week, dude. So you can't say anything about that. That guy got us on TV every single week, 3 times a week. We were in everybody's house. It was crazy, dude. At that time was nuts for me. Yeah. We were celebrities back then. It was crazy. You couldn't go anywhere without somebody saying, "Oh, I know you. I've seen you before." You know. So it was nuts.
That's awesome. Hey, real quick, I just got to say, Kyle, I didn't know that you and Matt knew each other before wrestling. And Steve, I didn't realize you and Dave Padula were friends before wrestling.
In fact,
that's so awesome to me because I love those guys.
Dave Padula, his father was the security guard at the Providence Civic Center. So Dave Padula used to get tickets to everything, man. We were front row for Orndorff and Hogan in a steel cage on Halloween night, which is Halloween's my birthday. Wow. So Dave and I were front row. I remember being like 12, 13 years old watching that match. And it didn't get better than that. You know what I mean?
Right.
Dave and I was really, really lucky back then. You know, because of Dave, I got to see a lot of shows. You know,
right?
And he is.
I met Matt when he was 14. He was a freshman in high school, and he was on the wrestling team. And I beat the shit out of him like every day.
Not much changed, did it?
And he loved you anyways.
Well, it was funny because I was like the older brother he never had.
Right. I hear you. All right, guys, who trained you?
Who actually trained me correctly?
Yeah.
That would be Mike Baker, Mike Edwards, and Gino Caruso.
Okay.
I got lucky. I was down in Salisbury Beach, so I got to get trained by Tony Atlas, Perry Satin, John Cronus. There were a lot of other guys that were down there too. Big City Mike.
But we both started off stupid.
They all had a hand in my training. And then, you know what? It's funny because we thought we were trained. And then we went to Salisbury, and we learned how to work the right way. And we learned about the business too. And when we came back, it was so different. I remember that show in Cumberland. When we came back from Salisbury, and it was amazing to me, like just how you just looked at things different and everything had changed at that point. Yep. And working a match was different because prior to that, I wanted to kill everybody. You know what I mean?
Right?
Well, you were always
oh yeah, dude. I wasn't taking a bump. I was not losing. You know, I went all the way up to Maine, and I can't remember who it was for, but somebody booked me up in Maine. And they wanted me to work with one of their guys, but they wanted me to put him over. And I said no back then. Like an idiot. Right? I don't know how many doors I probably closed by saying that. But I didn't want to do the job. And, of course, I ended up wrestling Dragonfly. And that was history. But yeah, in actual 3.5 hours, I said no to a job. So, yeah. And then when you understand the business, though, it's a lot different, you know?
Yeah, it is.
Right. All right.
Go ahead, Leo. Go ahead, Leo.
All right, this is the last question, then we'll get into the fan questions. Hey, guys, real quick, though, I don't have a lot of shows coming up booked, so we can turn this into more, too, after if you want.
All right, Leo, be careful.
We got a lot of
Are you
stories.
kidding me?
We got a lot
That's
of
all
stories.
right.
We can do a whole show just on the NEWA. You know that, right?
Oh, yeah, there's going to be some of those questions coming up. So I don't even know if we're going to get through the fan questions. All right. Tell us about your first match, Kyle.
My first actual match was against Tiger Shock during a haunted house in Cranston. And this was how green I was. I had my black belt, which was in amateur wrestling stuff, but I had no idea how to actually pull anything, really. I was just doing the best I could not to kill anybody.
Right.
So my finish was the iron palm strike to the chest. So I hit Tiger Shock with it. He no-sold it. I hit him with another one. He no-sold it. So, Donnie, do you remember what I did?
Yes.
Grabbed him by his ears and headbutted him, knocked him out.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, and then he thanked you for it, didn't he?
Yep.
Afterwards.
Awesome. That's probably the best first match story that's been told on this show in 183 episodes. Seriously.
Yeah, I don't think mine's going to be as good as that.
I don't know. You were Thunderbolt. Wasn't Thunderbolt?
That wasn't my first match, though. That wasn't my first match. No, my first match was at the Heritage Festival.
Oh, yeah.
It was a 2-night thing. The first night I wrestled the Vigilante. Remember him? Right? Where that was going. I wrestled the Vigilante. And then the second night, I wrestled Orca. And you want to talk about somebody not selling in his gray sweatsuit? Dude,
do you remember, Donnie, do you remember the Impossible Dream?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Do you remember when Matt and I picked up and slammed Orca for the first time?
Yes.
We did the double slam, and he almost shit himself?
Didn't you and I work together with the Impossible Dream, Kyle?
Me and you?
Yes.
Under a hood.
Yeah. Yeah, no. The hood was Johnson and Wales. We worked together as two Iron Fist, I think.
Yeah, but when I wrestled you at the Impossible Dream, I did double duty. I was guillotined under a hood.
That's right. You're right. I remember Johnson and Wales when you blew the reversal of the Irish whip. Remember? The kid lets go of my hand in the middle of the reversal. So I have to stand there like an idiot now and wait for it. I don't even remember how I recovered that. I think it just looked stupid.
Bro, I don't think we recovered. I think we just went on.
I think we did. I think we just said the hell with it. But yeah, that was interesting.
Yeah, but that was 92. That was 92, understand? Or maybe 93 at that point. But I was so fucking green.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah, well, hey, it doesn't matter.
I think we got some stories you guys are gonna tell with these fan questions. We're gonna start. Evan 6, Evan Hatch wants to know, Kyle, this might be for you, but it could be for both of you. The eyebrow ring story.
Okay.
That's you, brother.
Okay, so Evan came to my wrestling school at the age of 16.
Okay.
And he's like, I want to train. I'm like, all right. Now I'm known for being a prick.
Right.
And I really don't care if you like me, but you're not going to walk through this because I don't need the money that bad. So I trained very hard and I was a douche. So he had an eyebrow ring in. So I told him, I said, hey, you might want to take that out. And he goes, no.
Oh, boy.
And I was like, Evan,
not gonna
Evan, take it out. Trust me, take it out. No, I'm good. So I reached up and ripped it out of his eyebrow.
Yeah.
And I said, now we can go. Today I would have been arrested. Today I would have been arrested and sued by a fucking parent because I did that.
Right, yeah. Somebody else's parent because Evan wouldn't have turned you in. You know
no, exactly. It would have been somebody walking by going, what are you doing?
All right. Kyle, this one's definitely for you, but Steve, you could throw your 2 cents in too after freaking answer this question too, please. Kyle, your favorite match. I don't know if he means yours, yourself, or your favorite to watch. I would say it's yours.
I would say my favorite group of matches that had to do with a storyline would have been my storyline with Luis Ortiz and Chaotic.
So let me give you
I think that would be my favorite actual storyline It went for about 18 months, and it was really, really cool. My favorite one-time match was TJ Richter at Southbridge Middle School.
Nice. And who was that for?
That was for IIW.
Okay, great.
It's actually on my Facebook in my video section. Yep.
Okay, I'll check it out.
So
Steve?
you want to know my favorite match?
Yeah.
So my favorite match has to be me and Freight Train Fulton against the Eliminators in Salisbury Beach.
Wow,
And
yeah. That's my favorite tag team.
There's a story behind it. The night before that, Bruiser Costa wrestled the Eliminators and got his femur broken. So nobody wanted to wrestle them. But I had known Perry and John from before, so they kind of took me to the side. They knew I was green. They sat with me. I mean, Perry was basically helping me train too, so it was cool. And actually, Perry put me over. It was 2 out of 3 falls, and I got to pin Perry Satin. How many people could say that, you know? So.
Wow. That's my favorite tag team.
Freight Train Fulton got knocked out at the beginning of the match. And he was on the apron, and he couldn't tag in. So I had to do like 90% of the match. John Cronus actually threw me in my ear from the top rope, too. So and Kyle, you remember that. You saw that match.
I remember that match. I think that was the most, if you added up the minutes in that match you were in the ring, it was probably the most minutes you were ever in a ring your entire career.
You're right. You're absolutely right, dude. But hey, you know what? That was amazing for me. So.
Yeah, it was good. I remember it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's awesome. All right, Kyle, favorite student you trained at the SCA?
I don't really have one favorite. I have 3 guys that I will forever attach my name to. One of them is Evan, obviously. The other one is Mike McCarthy.
Yep.
Very proud of him. And his name was Tyrone. It was Dirk the Package Johnson.
Okay.
He had to leave the business really too early because he was very, very good. But medical issues, he had to leave. But those 3 by far, I'm beyond proud of.
Nice. All right, those were all from Evan. Thank you very much. JP Griffin has one. Steve, I'd like your input on this afterwards too. Just from the outside, being an owner of a promotion before. Kyle, pros and cons of merging 2 wrestling companies.
I think the biggest hurdle is noticing other people's work ethics. I don't know if you remember the PWF production that we used to put in.
Oh yeah.
And the work we used to put in. And then when we merged and that production even got stepped up higher, when I went to the stage and the ramp and everything, I took a tremendous amount of pride in the production of the shows.
Right.
And to watch, I'm not even gonna sugarcoat it. Sheldon Goldberg sitting on his ass, listening to his radio show, marking out for himself, and really not doing any work physically or even directing. It was a real eye-opener. Like, I used to look at Matt at the end of the night and be like, how can he even say he's part of this? Because he does nothing.
Right.
And like I'd say 4 to 6 months in, I knew right there where I stood with him. He was going to be somebody that took the max amount of credit for the least amount of work.
Wow, that's disappointing.
Yeah, absolutely. It is disappointing. When I tell you the contract and the deal that was worked out with Comcast Sportsnet, not Comcast Sportsnet New England, with Comcast Sportsnet.
Wow. Right.
That the ball got dropped because just people's expectations of how easy sponsorship was to get just completely destroyed it. So it's just like, it's very frustrating when you know what could have been and you didn't, and you fell through.
Right. There's no doubt the talent. Good, Steve.
I'd like to say that the views of Kyle Storm do not necessarily reflect the views of Studley Steve Stein. I just like to put that disclaimer out there for everybody.
You probably should.
But I think merging 2 promotions together, the biggest problem that I had was creative. You know what I mean? Who's going to bring what to the table? We didn't want to do old stuff like everybody had done for years with the NEWA. We wanted to do something different with Primal. And the old man kept throwing in, hey, let's do this, let's do that. And there were old guys, older guys, let's say, that were thinking the same. And we just wanted to do something different. I think that the biggest problem that anybody has in merging a company is differences in creative. One wants to go one way, one wants to go the other. So
what was nice?
Same work ethic,
Yeah. Luckily, what was nice was when we merged our companies, Matt's creative pretty much overruled everybody because I wasn't going to disagree with Matt unless I thought he was completely off his ass.
Right.
So automatically we had 3 votes.
Right.
So creatively wise and direction wise, like DC Dillinger becoming our champion out of nowhere when he was never elevated to a main event status before then. That was something that Matt and I did.
Yeah, but Kyle, you were always about putting people over. You were always about putting people that deserved it over.
Exactly. Not necessarily looking the part.
No.
You have to be competent. You need to be a good worker, and you need to offer something.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. That's why I gave you the belt.
I thought it was because I paid you.
Oh shit! Damn. We never told anybody that, did we?
You guys are awesome. All right, so listen. We got this may be a real quick answer at the end, Kyle, but Kyle and Matt Storm versus the Canadian Superstars in New England Championship Wrestling at the Quincy Armory was the craziest, bloodiest match of your career? Agree or disagree?
Even close. Not even close.
Really?
Not even close.
All right.
Matt and I did a wrestling show, and this is a whole story in itself, but I'm gonna really condense it. We did a show for NWA East out of Pittsburgh, and we wrestled Samu and Chevy Vega in a fan supply the weapons match.
Oh, whoa.
That was by far, I got lit on fire. Yeah, it was ridiculous. There was a 30-pound frozen turkey that a fan brought that got used because Sammy wasn't going to let it go. Oh, it was nuts. Absolutely nuts. And what was funny was we finished the match. We go back in the locker room. So we start cleaning up. And all of a sudden the promoter comes back and says, "We're going to get a picture." And all of us are cleaned up. And he couldn't see anything. And I'm like, well, that sucks. Matt's like banging himself in the head, trying to get bleeding again. It was awesome.
All right. Bo Douglas says, when we tagged at JCW and how the two were perceived, or about Providence Pride Day?
No, it's not Pride Day, the Puerto Rican Festival.
Oh, okay.
We'll talk about the Puerto Rican Festival because that's kind of funny.
Okay.
Jose Perez was running them for his mom as a side entertainment. And so it was my first one ever. And it was the TWO versus Jose, Hugo, and Pretty Boy Hernandez.
Okay.
So here we are. We're at TWO, which basically means Team White against Team Puerto Rico. Right. So obviously I'm the heel. And I went to Jose and I said, "Look, we have a promo before the match. What can't I say?" So I'm like, what's completely off limits because I don't want to offend anybody.
Right.
And he goes, "As long as you don't use the word spick, we'll be good."
Oh.
I was like, perfect. I can do this, no problem. So we get in the ring and Jay's got the mic. So I walk over to him and I nudge him and I'm like, my gimmick was kind of like a stoner. So I was like, "Dude, where the hell are we?" And he goes, "We're at the Puerto Rican Festival." And I was like, "We're where?" And he goes, "The Puerto Rican Festival. See the flag?" And I said, "Dude, that's the flag of Texas." So right there, I automatically got booed. And then I turned, he goes, "No, dude, that's the Puerto Rican flag." And I was like, "Don't we own them?" So literally, we had the match. I walked through the curtain. There's 2 police officers standing there saying, "Get your stuff. We have to walk you to your car."
Wow.
Because I was going to get stabbed.
Right.
It was bad, real bad.
Steve, did you ever wrestle at the Puerto Rican Day?
Yeah, we did an invasion angle at the Puerto Rican Festival. Well, actually, it wasn't an invasion. It was kind of like Primal Conflict took it over because Jose was wrestling for me too at the time. So, but I just said to them, I asked everybody to shut up and said that, because I was Italian and not Puerto Rican, and that they shouldn't respect me. And that was enough to get me heat. So I can just imagine what Kyle went through.
Right.
It was nuts.
All right.
It was nuts.
All right, so Rep Zachary Carter says, ask Studley Steve when he was promoting Primal Conflict with Rocco Del Sandro from NEWA, what led to the promotion folding? And did Uncle Rock try giving a name they brought in one of his infamous checks?
Okay, so the reason why Primal Conflict didn't go as far as I wanted it to go was because
I got signed to a contract, right?
Yeah, well, not just that, but the fact that I went through a divorce. I had personal issues, you know what I mean, and I couldn't hold the promotion together anymore. And that's the real reality in it. I'd love to say Rocco, didn't pay somebody or bounced a check, and that's why we stopped, but that's not why. And the reason why was because I had stuff going on in my life. So, I kind of stopped it, and I had the ability to stop it, so I did. I tried to run another show, but there was just so much going on. We were going to run a second No Remorse show out of Bill Ricca, which is a story in itself, if you ever Bill Ricca, and Balls Mahoney. So we were going to run a second show there, but it never got off the ground because of stuff that was going on in my life. We're at the 20-year anniversary of Primal Conflict.
Yes.
Birth, actually, because it was started in 2000. So I would love to run another show this year, but with the coronavirus and everything going on, I don't think that's going to happen, So
well, Steve, if you actually want to get technical, the beginning of Primal Conflict was actually another promotion. Do you remember the name of it?
Yeah, Elite. It was mine. I remember it. Of course I do.
It was your promotion?
Yeah, that was my first promotion that I started, was the Elite Wrestling Alliance. And we did it basically with no ring time at all. We stole everybody's footage. so basically what I did was I went around and I stole everybody's footage and said they worked for me and basically made a show out of it. And it was on every week. And people loved it. So, and it was basically Dragonfly and I in his living room with a sound mixer and just doing a commentary with different voices, but people went nuts. Hey, Kyle, remember when I dubbed over your interview with my voice?
Yes.
Kyle called local accents, tried to get it taken off, but they weren't taking it off.
Oh, that's a riot.
That's not my voice.
That's a nice rib.
Oh, Leo, if you only knew, how many actual times Donnie and I had heat. Oh my God. And always like years later come back together and totally forget it.
Oh yeah. Absolutely. I think I had heat with everybody at one point. So, but
really?
You just, it's like anything else. You start living this character, just like in the business. I mean, I can't, you do this, and we were only doing it 3 times a month if we were lucky, but we Studley Steve outside the ring and Studley Steve in the ring back then.
There was no difference.
There was no difference.
I remember during an interview for Yankee, his ego was so big. I actually broke complete kayfabe on the mic and went, Donnie, is that you?
Yeah,
nope, that's Steve. Nope, that's Steve.
Wasn't that the night I took the tag straps off you for 15 minutes?
15 seconds.
I've already made a decision. We're doing this again in a week or 2. All right? Cool. Seriously, we have to. We still got more time, though. Okay. Listen, I have to say this guy's name and ask this question, but you guys already answered it. Nicholas Nathaniel, what got you into wrestling? What made you say, yes, this is what you wanted to do? It's an answer of something I asked you earlier. Yep. Joe Bruin has some questions. God,
Joe Bruin asked the question?
Oh, shit.
Yeah, he asked 3. First, all right, for both of you, personal memories of the late, great Anthony Ruffo.
Oh, God. Oh, my God. You want to go first, Kyle?
Oh, what the?
Hi, honey.
I got one. So if you want to wait,
I got one, dude. But this is gonna mess me up.
Go for it.
I think my biggest memory of Anthony would have to be, we had just got finished opening up SCA in the Barton Street Community Center. We had the side gym that we completely renovated and painted and had wrestling mats and a couple rings. And I remember sitting down with him and being like, we're actually going to do this. And like, because we were both of the not really understanding what really went on to do what we were about to do. I mean, we both helped train at Yankee Pro, but we never really did anything on our own. I mean, I ran the Mayhem School for like a hot second, and then that's a whole other debacle. But I mean, when Anthony and I ran SCA and we opened it and we got in our first group of students, it was like so surreal. And from that point on, that was 2002. So, I mean, it was just a very, very, now this is two guys also that started in NEWA, started the wrong way. Both went somewhere else and got trained. Anthony went to Walters, and it was just very, very surreal for me.
Steve?
So can I tell mine now? So my story, my favorite story of Anthony Ruffo is in Cranston East Stadium in Cranston. We had a show with the NEWA. I wrestled Dan Bula in the main event. That was his game.
Yep.
Dan Bula. And he came out with this little stinking midget, Tiny the Terrible. This was probably like the third show I've ever seen Tiny at this point. And there was no, all right. So you got to understand, back then it was a shoot. The whole thing was a shoot. Nobody was told who was going to win or lose. If you were, it was like, okay, whatever. But in my situation, being, the NEWA champion, I wasn't supposed to lose my belt that night. So I get in the ring with Anthony, and we wrestle this match. And the match I had before with Anthony wasn't as good as I wanted it to be. So this time I trained like really hard for this. I trained to wrestle Anthony at 300 pounds, to be able to pick him up, to be able to toss him around the ring like I wanted to the show before. And I think that match, if you get a chance to see it, it was awesome. Him and I did it was great. Like, it was way beyond our years, let's put it that way.
Right.
And all of a sudden, at the high point in the match, I hear the bell ring. So he's got me in this nerve hold with his hand on my neck, and I hear the bell ring. And I'm like, what the hell was that? And I look over, and there's Tiny screaming at the top of his lungs, he tapped out, he quit. And I'm like, this mother. And that's how they took the ball from me. So that's how it was done to me back then. So
Steve got Brett before Brett got Brett.
Oh, yeah. Before Brett even knew he was getting Brett, I got Brett.
Right. All right. Kyle, you already said he asked who was your favorite opponent and why was it Rush? You have a quick Rush story?
Oh, Rush?
He had a
oh, my God. No. Rush. Oh, This kid, and I shouldn't even call him a kid because he's like ancient. I felt bad. I thought I was going to get arrested for abusing a senior citizen. This kid didn't know how to listen, had no idea what was going on, which is weird because he came from Walters. So I don't know how that happened.
Right.
And was convinced that he was the Ultimate Warrior. It was horrible. It was horrible. Like, Joe was, I can't remember who booked the show. I don't know if I can't remember if it was a Joe show or he was ring announcing. But I went over. Then he insisted that the only way he'd allow me to go over is if he could beat me up after the bell.
Is this the same guy that was Tony Roy's partner?
Yes.
Or is it a different Rush? Okay.
No,
all right.
Right there.
Okay. Wow.
So it's on YouTube. You can actually find it.
I'll find it.
Oh, it's horrible. Horrible.
I won't share it then, I promise. All right, this is for both you guys. Your memories of the New England Pro Wrestling Hall of Fame induction night. Congratulations to you both, obviously.
Thank you.
So memories?
My memory was I was not myself. I can tell you that right now, because when I looked out, I saw Holly Ray sitting in front of me, and it put me on a totally different mindset. I had planned to go into the Hall of Fame and talk all kinds of, and just be myself. And just
it was short.
If you watch my induction speech,
I did today.
And totally out of character for me. I think everybody that showed up there expected me to go into this big, when are you going to shut up? And I just, Holly Race that put everything in perspective for me. And it was like, for me to be able to stand up here and accept an award with Holly Race sitting in front of me was just, Joe made such a memory for me that I will never, ever forget. That's why Joe Bruin is the man. He's the man.
He is the man.
So, he is the man. Absolutely. Without a doubt. So.
Yeah, that was the first ever promo of Donnie DeLuca.
Yeah, it was actually.
Right,
it really was. It was. I've never.
It was good though, because you kept it short and sweet. You know what I mean? It was good.
But I wasn't intending to. That's the thing. I got up there ready to go, and it didn't happen.
You got humbled. Humbled, right?
I really
That's
did.
Pretty
fast. It really put it. It was just amazing. People I met that night.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Guys, real quick, we're not even going to get through the fan questions tonight because we probably got a little over maybe 12 minutes left. I don't have a timer in front of me. You guys got a timer in front of you?
I have no idea. No timer.
No.
All right, so we'll go like 12 more minutes, and if Dick yells at me, I'll take the heat for it. Or I'll blame you, Kyle.
Gee, there's a shock. Everybody blames me. Everybody blames me.
I'm going to blame Kyle when I get off the phone and my 4-year-old's breaking down the door right now. I'm going to blame Kyle for this. So,
all right. You guys, this is going to be great. I love this question. The Punisher, Don Vega, says, for both of you, your favorite NEWA story with Rocco DeLisandro. Guys, we have 18 minutes, so we're good. You got 18 minutes.
Okay, you first, Kyle.
This will end up being the last question. I guess my favorite memory of Rock would have to be we're outside. I don't think it was Cranston Stadium. We did a festival, Donnie, near his office. Do you remember which one that was? It was the one. It was a festival on the road that ran parallel over near Marchetti's.
Really?
Do you remember the show we did over there?
No. How come?
Do you remember the famous Rock Get the Drill?
Oh yeah, absolutely. But that was Twine.
Was that Twine?
Yeah, that was with Greg Valentine, Santana.
Yes.
Yeah. Virgil was there, I think Virgil was there.
Yep. Yeah. Forgive my CTE.
That was Twine. Yeah, Rock, get the drill. I remember.
Oh, the boards wouldn't line up.
Yep.
When I tell you this ring was a piece of shit, that's being mean to pieces of shit.
All the injuries that Kyle and I have can be attributed to the years of abuse in that ring.
Yep.
That ring
it wasn't even a wrestling ring. It was a boxing ring with a solid steel center.
Yeah, it was.
Wow.
And anybody who worked NEWA can say, they really took a bump, even if it was like half a bump in that ring.
Right.
So, yeah.
I took a superplex off the top in that ring.
Yeah, that was crazy.
No. I was a dumbass when I was young.
Yeah, we did a lot of dumb stuff in that. But
I wasn't in the wrestling business, and I did a lot of dumb shit too.
Yeah. Well,
all right, so that's my story.
My favorite Rock story, all right, was when at the beginning of the NEWA, all right, he had just bought it, all right, and he says to Dave Jackson, "We need belts, dude." So he says, "We need belts." So I go, okay,
ashtrays.
So Rocco and his son go and get the belts, okay, because they're gonna go get the belts. They said they come back. And Kyle can say this. Anybody who worked this and lived it with ashtrays bolted to a weightlifting belt.
Wow.
Yeah.
With the old.
I didn't even get the ashtray. I it was just a piece of material with like glitter on. That was.
And the letters were those little square mailbox letters.
Yeah, they were the stencil things. Yeah, I remember. Yep. That's one of my favorite rock stars.
Yep.
You guys are awesome. All right. Dave Fournier wants to know, Kyle, what are your memories of working for Chaotic in its early days?
Well, what's funny is, and what people don't understand is, in the beginning, Chaotic was paying out contracts.
So this was with Jamie, not Randy Miller?
This was Randy Miller and Jamie.
Okay.
And they were offering contracts to work there exclusively.
Yeah.
Now, what sucked was, at the time, I was, Phil Apollo was running a company, and I was his champion. I was Steve's champ for Primal, and I was the IIW heavyweight champion.
They did that because of Primal, because we were booking shows the same night as Chaotic. That's what it was.
So when I got signed to my contract,
not to interrupt you, Kyle, but Rich Palladino was with Primal Conflict first.
Oh, I know.
Up Rich Palladino to Chaotic. So
I know.
Hi, Rich.
So when I signed my contract, I was told after the fact about the exclusivity. So I was like, all right, that's cool. I'm going to do a final show for everybody and drop the straps. He's like, that's fine. The only one you can't work for is Primal.
Yep.
And I was like, well, I'm his champ. He goes, I don't care. You're not working for him.
Yep.
So I called up Donnie, and he was already pissed that I was fucking leaving, but I was supposed to work a show against Mark Thunder and drop the belt, which I was all set for.
At Club Stars, I remember this.
And I called him up and I said, Donnie, look, I can't show up.
Yep.
So I don't know who told me or whatever, but supposedly Mark Thunder was supposed to show up at a Chaotic show and jump the railing.
Yeah, no, I never heard.
I still to this day wish that happened, because I would have killed that kid.
That story gave the birth to the bitch ass Kyle Storm T-shirt that I wore on TV. By the way.
Oh, I know, I remember.
Man, we had so much fun. Yeah, that was crazy back then. That was they were trying to scoop up guys to make them exclusive to Chaotic so that we couldn't book them.
Exactly.
And they did. They did for a while, and that was being done way before like stuff nowadays. But
yeah,
that was happening in the Indies. Think about that, guys.
Let's talk about the first Primal show at Wonderland.
Oh God, when New Jack showed up.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that was great. That was the first time New Jack ever came back to Revere after the mass transit incident. So
yeah.
And or
the table that wouldn't break for Cassie.
Yeah. For the Pitbulls. Yeah.
Oh, that sucked.
To this day, though, I mean, that show was still amazing for the time, man.
I loved it.
Wasn't Bundy at that show too?
Bundy was at. Bundy worked. I think Bundy worked Gino.
Yeah, he called me a goober. Remember? He grabbed me by the tie.
Yeah, that was the show that I worked Intern and Cronus and went over the title.
Right. You know, I still can't find that tape. I would love to see that show again, dude. Do you have that show? No?
Dude, I don't remember that show.
I know. I wonder if somebody out there has. If you have the show, put it on YouTube, please.
Yeah.
Whoever you are. I know Evil Ed's got it. He's got to have it. Evil Ed has like every show. Him and Chapo. So.
Did he make it back on?
Are we closing the show out here? What's going on?
Okay.
Well, Kyle,
Donnie, hey, yeah. You have a time limit of only 10 minutes. So it's going to be like you're wrestling. We're going to be out there for 25.
Are you going to? Yeah, but you'll get winded after 9, so it doesn't matter.
That's why I wrestled tag so long.
So I know, right? So what about the possibility of having a reunion show, though? This is something we didn't talk about, you know?
Do you want to talk about that now?
Why not? We got 10 minutes. We might as well.
Bro, I'm going to be honest with you.
At least it's interesting.
If I get back to where I want to try and get back to, and I'm not putting any like really undue stress on myself because I am 2 heart attacks deep.
Yeah.
And
Kyle,
my doctor said my heart's perfect.
Yeah, but Kyle, it doesn't necessarily mean you have to wrestle either.
Yeah, but are you crazy? Of course I'm going to wrestle.
Yeah, I know, but you don't have to. That's the thing.
Yeah, I didn't say I had to. I'm just saying I would.
I understand. No, I get it. I mean, I wonder how much interest that would actually.
But Donnie, think about this, all right? What has never happened the entire time we've known each other?
What has never happened?
Yep.
I don't know. What has
The
never
entire
happened?
time we've known each other. What has never happened?
We've never ran a show together.
No, we've never tagged.
Oh, that's true. We never have. I didn't even think of that.
We have
You think
never
my old
tagged.
ass is gonna wrestle? God,
Why not? It's not like you got a bump anyway.
Yeah, true. It's not like yeah, I know. Why start now at 47? Right?
That's what I'm thinking. I mean, I'm turning 46. Yeah, I'm turning 46. We could be the old bastards.
That's true. We could.
We'll come out looking like.
I hate Skype, just so you guys know. Hey, there's my F-bomb. There was my F-bomb.
Hey, Leo, we took over anyway. Don't worry about it.
That's all right. I'm glad you did. I wasn't worried.
You missed a good question.
We're professionals, man.
You missed a good question.
Yeah, which one was the chaotic one?
Oh, no. We got into a whole different question.
All right. Well, I'll watch it later.
Yeah, there you go. That's what rewind button's for, right?
That's all. I'm going to save a couple of questions from Dave for the next one.
Okay.
Right here. No, this last one right here. Donnie, will there ever be a Primal Conflict reunion show?
Yes, he was listening.
You brought it
He
up
was
earlier.
listening.
Maybe down the line?
There's no way that's a coincidence, Kyle. He was definitely listening to us. There's no way. Like I said, I don't know. Things that have happened this year kind of put that, I don't know, man. If the crowds come back to wrestling, which, by the way, I got to say, man, since this whole thing's happened with no crowds and stuff, I think AEW of putting on a show without a crowd, but I can't say the same for anybody else at this point. And it just, wrestling needs the fans, man. Wrestling needs live fans. And without live fans, the mystique is gone. It's just, it's not the same anymore. You
can't get worked up.
Jericho's music, it's like not hearing people sing Jericho's music when he walks out. You can't. It's a big difference with nobody being there, and I would never try to attempt to put on a show without people there. I can't even understand how these guys are doing it, to be honest with you. I would never even know how to start that, to put on a show without a crowd. So
it's 50-50 at a wrestling show, right? You need the wrestling and you need the fans.
That's right. Absolutely. It goes hand in hand. It goes hand in hand. Without it, there's something missing, and it's just not the same. I mean, I've stopped watching WWE altogether since this coronavirus thing happened. AEW, I still watch because I just have tremendous respect for what they did and what they're doing, and it's just amazing to watch every week. And Jericho is just like, he is the GOAT, man. It's just everything Jericho does turns to Pineapple Pete. Come on, man. Pineapple Pete, man. He made that guy from the commentary table. Anyway, it's just, I love watching Jericho, and I'll always watch that, but I think they've got to be hurting. I mean, if I'm not the only diehard fan that's turned the tube off at this point, I can't be the only one. So. All
right, so this is directed at Tony, but Kyle, I definitely want your opinion on this too. Do you think the fire incident hurt Primal?
No, actually, the Jamie Payne fire incident or the Dave Padula fire incident? You got to specify which one it was.
The Jamie Payne going through and catching on fire.
Right, so let me real quick explain to people what happened there. Okay, because some people may not know what happened. It was Nemesis and Jamie Payne real fast. It was a table spot. I put a gallon of lighter fluid on the friggin' table because I was inexperienced. I lit the table on fire because we had never practiced it. We never ran it. Jamie Payne had a flammable shirt on, for God's sakes. It wasn't even anyway. I go to grab the fire extinguisher, and the pin is jammed in the fire extinguisher. Dave Padula saved Jamie Payne that night.
Wow.
If it wasn't for Dave Padula jumping out and grabbing and the late George Titus throwing himself on Jamie Payne to put the fire out. But as far as hurting us goes, absolutely not. No. First of all, the next show that we had booked at Stars was sold out, I think, in 2 weeks. So that's the time we had put things on, because they wanted to see what was going to happen. What we did was we filmed everything. I filmed everything. I filmed the ambulance, the fire department, everything that happened afterwards. So it gave that realism to what was happening. I figured, you know what, if it happens, listen, Jamie's like a brother. I knew he wasn't going to sue me. You know what I mean? I knew he wasn't going to. I knew he wasn't going to be like that. All he ever wanted to be was Jamie Payne at that point. You know what I mean? And that got him so much exposure. I think he got booked for Combat Zone after that. So
Right.
you know, that was a huge door opener for Jamie. But as far as it hurting us goes, no, absolutely not. The next show we did was, I think it was the American Health Civic Center, which was 500. So
Nice. And Kyle, what did you think about that? Is he
What's
still
that?
there?
Come here.
What did you think about the spot, the fire with Jamie
I was
catching
with-
on fire?
I was with Chaotic by then.
were you there?
Okay.
No, I was already in Chaotic.
Yeah, you were in Chaotic. Yeah, he had his exclusive contract and he forgot about us at that point. So, you know. Yeah. I know I'm number one.
Yeah, you're number one, but always taking number two.
Yeah, here we go.
All right. Kyle, you can both answer this too, but we'll get Kyle's answer first. If you could wrestle again, if you came out of retirement, you had to wrestle one young current indie
Vern
star,
Vicalo.
who would it be?
Vern Vicalo.
Nice. Good choice.
In a heartbeat.
I like Vern.
In a heartbeat.
Nice. And Steve?
I don't know. There's so many young guys out there right now that are just amazing. I mean, I don't know. I would have loved to wrestle Sammy Guevara, man. Sammy Guevara is just amazing.
Yep.
I see him in the ring now, and he's finally getting a push. And I mean, all that shit happened, but you know, whatever. But Sammy's got a freaking huge future in this business, and he's just talented as hell. And I'm so glad he's getting a push now. But that would be the guy that I would want to wrestle.
All right. We still, well, because I hung up. I don't know whether or not you guys kept going. Right? I don't know whether I have any more time on the show. Dick's gonna have to text me again. So how about this? How about we just say this? You guys gonna come back on for me again? We could say in like 2 weeks.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Yeah. All right. I will finalize it today after I hang up. We got 4 minutes. When I hang up, I'll look at my book and I'll text you guys and all that.
Yeah, that's fine.
But what you guys want to plug your social media? Steve, you want to go first?
Say that again.
You want to plug any social media where they can find you? No.
No,
Okay.
my social media is, you know, for my son, my family. I really don't have a wrestling social media. I keep up with the boys through my site. I mean, you know, through Facebook and stuff, but that's pretty much all. I mean, it's
I don't have anything either.
Yeah.
Okay. How about what are you guys watching on TV? I'm a big TV watcher, guys. That's why I'm like right now. I'm rewatching Breaking Bad again for the 7th time.
I binged watched The Sopranos finally.
Nice.
You guys are gonna laugh at me, but I'm hooked on Queen of the South. So
I actually want to start that. I want to start watching that.
What an
Steve.
amazing show, man! Amazing. You won't stop
Steve,
it.
It doesn't shock me that you're hooked on a queen.
Yeah, here we go. See. That's why I hung out with you, Kyle. I told you that.
I just finished watching The Wire for like the 5th time. If you haven't seen The Wire, guys, what a great show.
Is it? Yeah.
Yeah, it really is. The Shield, The Wire, Breaking Bad.
That's cool.
I can hear your son, dude.
Yeah, he's out of control, dude. I'm sorry. He's 4 years
That's all
old.
right. Don't worry about it.
You should have brought him on the air.
My kid is going to be the next big thing. I'm telling you right now. He's not ready yet. He's still circulating. When
Steve.
he's ready, you guys will see.
Hey,
My kid
Steve.
is going to be the next big thing. I'm telling you. He's amazing.
You didn't question where the red hair came from, right?
Yeah, no, I didn't. Yeah, Kyle, stay out of my house, Kyle. Stay out of my house.
You guys are nuts.
All right, guys.
So,
I'm going to go
guys,
before I
listen,
break the
thank
door
you.
down.
See ya.
Thank you guys both
Anytime.
for coming on.
Thank you.
Anytime. Anytime, Leo. Thank you.
You're welcome. And I'll get in contact with you no later than tomorrow morning about setting up for another show.
You got it.
Thank
Guys,
you.
thanks, man.
Always good seeing you, Kyle.
The preceding program was provided by an independent producer solely responsible for its content. The opinions expressed do not necessarily represent the views of this station, its staff, board of directors, or underwriters.